Welcome to Under the Sun podcast. I'm Ilea.
And I'm Irene. Grab a cup of coffee and your comfiest sweats and join us every Monday as two best friends discuss everything from raising free-range gremlins to business and really everything under the sun.
Let's get started, and thanks for being here. As two women who have given birth to human beings and who have...
Women who have been given birth to human beings.
What?
Women who have given birth to human beings.
Yeah. And who have heard a lot of things. Like, I don't know about you. Actually, I know.
Yeah.
A lot of our friends have had every type of birth you can imagine. Mm-hmm. Anything from hospital C-section, scheduled induction, to vacuum, to episiotomy, to all the things. Mm-hmm. All of our friends have had it, or to natural at home. Holla. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, we've heard it all. And we have heard a lot of lies. Yeah. And we would like to share with you 5 myths about labor and delivery.
Yes. Maybe to just help you not be afraid.
Yeah. And to be an educated mom.
Because it's an intense thing, but it should not be a scary thing.
No.
So.
No, it shouldn't.
Yes.
All right. Myth number 1.
Myth number 1.
Am I saying it or are you saying it?
I already forgot which one we said is number 1. You say number 1.
Number 1. Myth number 1 is that your baby cannot be born in their sac, that they're for some reason stuck in the sac and water doesn't break. Mm-hmm. That is a myth.
Yes.
Literally, my baby was born in her sac, and so was her youngest daughter was born in her sac, which is called being born in caul, E-N space C-A-U-L. Yes. And supposedly it helps you, like the water bag actually helps with contractions and it makes it not as painful, but that's not what you want to hear in the moment.
It's not, but I will say I've had 2 births. One of them, water broke. Then I was in labor for 16 hours. The other one, water didn't break. And the pain threshold for both of those was night and day.
I mean, I remember you being surprised when Nova came out. Yeah. She was the one who was born in her sac.
Yeah.
I have like the money shot of her va-cooter of like Nova in her sac. And
it's like,
we both got the money shot.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, va-cooter money shots.
I mean, listen, that is a friend who will shove a camera up your hoo-ha when you're pushing out a human.
Yeah.
But also the baby's face, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it. You can't see it because, sorry. But
I'd show you mine.
Their little like smushy face and this cute little bubble. It's like when my kids put their face up to a glass and they make those silly faces smushed up to the glass, only it's like, a bag of water and this little raisiny face going. Yeah. But it's so cute.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought of one.
Yeah.
Myth number 2. Yeah. Your baby's going to drown if you give birth in water.
Yeah. They're literally in water.
So I posted a video. So I do a lot of things. I'm on a journey of figuring out what I want to actually do with my life.
But you're really good at all the things you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But I filmed a water birth and I posted it onto Instagram, and it's now at 1.2 million views.
Yay,
which I'm like,
you.
It hasn't helped me at all. Like, I've gotten some inquiries, but like people who aren't in the state. Anyways.
I mean, they'll pay you to travel.
So many. What am I going to do? Take my baby and take a babysitter?
Oh, you can't predict a birth.
I can't.
Yeah, that'd be too. Oh, never mind. Carry on.
I had a lot of comments on that saying, but won't the baby drown underwater? We both had water births. Your baby is born in the water and doesn't know it's born yet because it's been in water the whole time, and it's still receiving all of its oxygen and nutrients from the umbilical cord that's still attached to the placenta to the mom inside.
Yeah. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but once you pull the baby out of the water, you obviously can't put him back in. But if the baby comes out in the water, I've seen the coolest videos of moms just like rocking their baby in the tub underwater, and
I want to do that with the next one.
It seems so peaceful.
Yeah, I would love to do that with the next one because like it's the in between of like, you'll never have that moment again where the kid doesn't know it's born, but you can see its face. Like, oh, I get goosebumps. It's so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
But what happens is when you pull the baby out, the nitrogen hits, like the nitrogen and the oxygen is that's what sends the gasp reflex.
Because I remember as soon as we pulled Nova out of the water, I was holding her, and I was pretty heavily contracting the placenta out. And I remember, I don't know who I had to. We always wait till the cord stops pulsing completely. Yeah. And cord was still pulsing, and I had to have someone. I either asked someone to grab my shoulders or grab her because I felt like both of us kind of slipping because I was contracting so hard. And her cord was pretty significantly short. I couldn't even pull her up to my neck because I felt it pulling from the inside. Yeah. But I was like, someone needs to get her because I'm gonna we're both going under. I can't hold myself up anymore. But Yeah. So cool.
It's so cool. So
That leads us.
and water helps with labor pains.
Yeah.
So sometimes to a fault where it actually like
Slows it down.
Slows it down. It's
One of my best friends is a doula. She has had 4 kids.
Yeah.
And at one point with one of her kids, no, the 4th one was born at home. The other 3 were born at a birthing center. So it was kid number 3. She knew she was in labor. Her labors are like 2 hours now. So she knew it was coming fast. I know. Each kid just like pop, 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 pop. But
so what mine's going to be, what, 24? 20?
Mine went from 18 to 16. So, but I remember she was telling me when she told me her birth story, she was in the tub relaxing and they had to tell her like, hey, you need to get into a better position. She's like, nope, I'm comfortable. And she pretty much slowed down her own labor because she's like, I just didn't feel like I had the energy to push. I didn't want to. So
yeah.
So another thing is you do have more control over your body. I mean, maybe not the first one because you're kind of in don't know what to experience mode, but at least the sequential births, you kind of have more like, okay, I've been through this before. I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
But she totally slowed it down. And then as soon as she's like, okay, I'm ready, she flipped over on all 4s and the baby popped right out. So that was cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a myth, but you can, to an extent, control your labor.
To an extent, yeah. And I remember asking questions I definitely knew the answer to. Like it was like there were 2 people. There was like the conscious. No, she wasn't even conscious. It was like the girl who had never done this before and was just trying to seek validation of like, you know, Irene, is this going to be over soon?
Yeah.
Even though I knew you didn't know the answer. Like inside, I was like, nobody knows when babies are going to be born. Like unless you're, you know, in a hospital and it's all being very controlled and even then they don't really know. But like there's just 2 different people in your head saying like, like asking questions. So like I'm curious how the second time will go. I'll probably not call anybody for hours and accidentally have a free birth.
Call me right away. I won't bug you. I'll stay in the other room, but Dave's going to be too preoccupied with the baby to get the money shot. So
yeah.
Even if it's 3 a.m., I'm probably awake.
Myth number 3.
Myth number 3 is that if the cord is wrapped around the baby's neck, it's dangerous and the baby is going to die. That is false because my first child's cord was wrapped around his neck twice and it was no big deal. He came out, they wrapped it around his head twice and then waited a minute and the rest of him came out. And mind you, there's different instances like...
Because like you birthed his head.
Yeah.
And then he was still underwater with his head. They just untied the cord under the water and then just...
Which I'm pretty sure you have a shot of that too.
Yeah, I do.
Just flipping it out.
Probably.
Yeah. However, that, you know, there are circumstances like Nova, her cord was very short.
Yeah.
I think had the cord been around her neck,
it could have snapped.
It could have snapped.
Yeah.
And that would have caused both her to suffocate, me to hemorrhage. So there are instances.
Yeah.
But if a doctor is terrifying you saying, it's wrapped around, like, go. It's like, well, how serious is this? And there's no real way to judge.
It's a variation of normal is what it is. Like it happens so often, but it doesn't happen that often where it's catastrophic.
Right. And again, there are instances.
Yeah.
Yes, we're aware.
Yeah.
My kids were so different. One birth, I was told by multiple people, they had never seen a cord that long in their careers. And the other ones were like, oh, that is really short if you can't even pull her up to your neck. So every circumstance is different. But.
Did you know that placenta health comes from the dad?
No, that hoe.
But I don't know, is it placenta and cord or just placenta?
That I don't know.
But I did learn that a month or so ago that like if you're basically is what I hear is if you hemorrhage because the placenta is being stubborn, it's your husband's fault.
Interesting.
Here's a fact or a myth about birth is that you need cord traction to get your placenta out.
And I'm so far removed from regular birth. Is that when they just kind of pull?
It's not when they kind of pull. It's when they pull like.
Okay, you know how you kind of forget labor?
Yeah, I don't forget that. Like I could literally feel that.
But I can feel like when I was trying to hold Nova up, can't remember what labor felt like. Can't remember what it felt like when her little body popped out. Can vividly remember what the cord felt like pulling on my insides.
Mind you, there's every scenario. So there's a couple different scenarios. So I actually have a video on what happens after a home birth, which is very similar to what happens after a birth center birth, where like we just sat in the water for a long time and the midwife was keeping an eye on my bleeding, long story short, whatever. I got out and the placenta was taking its time. Thanks, Dave. And she didn't do cord traction. She was doing a fundus massage and then guiding, like trying to like coax it, but not pulling. But it felt like she was pulling. I remember because it was not cozy. No. But I've filmed a lot of hospital births at this point, even for the last 17 years because I filmed my nephew Brecken's and I've seen a lot where like sometimes they even like reach up and like scoop the placenta out. Ooh, ouch. If that happened to you, I'm really sorry. Yeah. Yeah. There's like, none of this is judgment. It's just like, ouch. It's just like we feel bad. Yeah. Like that is not comfortable. But, or around the same vein, same tip is that like Pitocin is mandatory after delivering because it's not. It's only like, it's not only get it if it's medically necessary. If you're actually hemorrhaging or you need help getting the placenta out. A lot of times you hear, I don't like the placenta to be in there for longer than 10 minutes after birth. Well, it's like, that's not evidence-based medicine.
It's going to take its time, just like your baby's going to take its time. And because your body has to like
adjust,
cauterize itself. Yeah. It has to seal itself from bleeding. So if you force it out, you have an open wound and then.
There's So if you've ever seen a placenta, did I post my placenta on my YouTube? I feel like I did. Oh, I posted our placenta tour, which is so cool. You should ask for a placenta tour. It's very cool. But after you give birth, let it take its time. Like let the placenta finish pumping all the blood into your baby because it's the baby's blood. It's nobody else's. Yeah. And you don't want to waste it. Like it's perfectly good stem cells, basically, that are wonderful for it. Yeah. Number 6?
I lost the numbers.
Shoot. Is it 6 or 5?
I don't remember. But another one, which you can attest to this is, and mind you, I'm just going to say this 50,000 times because we're going to get some comments of like,
that's not how
that's false information, which every labor is different. Every kid is different. Every pregnancy is different. But
there's a lot of medical rhetoric that goes around that people like to use to manipulate
and
women.
Terrify you.
Yeah.
If the cord is tied in a knot.
Oh, yeah.
Then it can be, let me phrase it. If a cord is tied in a knot, yes, it can be dangerous. However,
not all knots
your
are dangerous.
cord wasn't a knot because you had it in your placenta tour.
Yep. I can't remember if I posted that part, but like she grabbed the knot and kept like, that's why the cord is so gummy because like, it's like God perfectly designed it that way. If your kid accidentally ties it up in a knot.
Like, listen, those babies wiggle.
Yeah.
And they roll.
Yeah.
And it is possible that they tie it into a knot as they're rolling. Yeah. But again, you can't know that until the baby's out.
No. And another reason why you shouldn't do cord traction is I think I posted this, but I had like, what'd you say? Call it a nuclear cord, a nocular cord?
I think so.
I can't remember. I might be butchering that. So sorry, Shannon. But something to do with the vessels that attach to the placenta. So like if this is the placenta and these are the 3 vessels, there's like 2 arteries in a muscle or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Like a little tree branch kind of going up into it.
It had a hole in it. So if I would have been, which again, thanks, Dave. If I would have been in a hospital where it is their policy to do cord traction to get the placenta out because they think of it as an emergency, even though it's not. She said like I would have hemorrhaged because they would have pulled and then the cord would have detached and then
I remember
from
that
inside.
Now. Yeah.
And then I would have just been bleeding out. But and they needed a full arm scoop, which, like it is sometimes necessary. Like, okay.
Yeah. We're not anti-medicine. We're anti-unnecessary.
Or fear mongering. Like if your doctor tells you, if you were my sister, this is what I would want her to do. Don't listen to that. Like run away, go find a different provider because here's the thing. I think we need to change our mindset around, this is myth number, whatever. It is your labor and delivery and you hired no, this is actually the fact. Sorry. The myth is that you have no control over it and you'll just have to wing it and see how it goes. Yeah. To a certain extent, yeah. But truly, like you are hiring, no matter where you give birth, you are hiring them to do a service. You are hiring your doctor. Yes. Because even if it's...
In all scenarios, not just birth.
Not just birth, yeah.
Because if you're going to an eye doctor and you have some kind of gut feeling like, I don't know if this is correct.
Yeah. What if I came to you...
You're paying them.
What if I came to you as a hairstylist and I showed you a picture and I said, I want this hairstyle and this haircut. And you said, okay, we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah. If you were my sister, I would cut your hair like this instead.
Yeah. Like in what other scenario can you have medical staff tell you like, oh, that's a great birth plan, but we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah.
Like it should be, hey, I'm hiring you to do this service unless literally medically necessary. Like I told Irene, I was like, unless I am dying on the floor, do not call. Like
Yeah.
I am giving birth at home.
Yeah.
Me or my child. Cause like I will do anything to keep my child safe.
Right.
But like,
Yeah.
but here's the thing is I don't feel safe with medical staff. I've not had a good experience ever.
I've not either.
Ever.
And that's probably why we're the weirdos we are. But
why do I do that? I don't ever give the peace sign unless I'm on camera.
I love it so much. Another sort of myth. Have some. Another sort of myth is that the baby can't come out without a C-section first.
Yeah.
Which,
breach.
Listen, I will do it because I have very little trust for hospital scenario, but it will not feel great. But I'm not afraid to do it if I have to.
Yeah.
Have a feet first baby. Yeah. But I will say the main thing that I am terrified of for pregnancy, for all pregnancies, is having, and I can't remember the medical term for it, but basically the placenta covering. Yeah. Because in that instance, that is a C-section.
Yeah. What is it called? Hold on.
Oh, I can't think of it, but Riker's was kind of close midway through the pregnancy.
Interior? No.
I can't think of what it's
something
called. Placenta previa? Is that it? No, that's not
else. It. No, we're both slightly removed because it's been like 10 months since.
Yeah.
Well,
basically it means the placenta will grow. And if the placenta happens to attach itself on your lower uterus and it grows and covers the cervix, the baby cannot push the placenta out first.
Yeah.
That was dangerous. The number. Because that's something you have no control over.
No.
At all.
And that's something like I wouldn't want to, like, it's not worth, I would rather have a C-section to make sure that's the goal. Like we all want our babies here safely.
Yeah. Regardless of how they come out.
Like we want them here safely and we want all of us alive. But like a healthy or an alive mama baby is not just the bear, should not be the bar.
No.
Like it should be like, hey, thriving mom and baby, like good breastfeeding relationship, a not traumatized mom who can love her kid well. Like,
can we also talk about how in other countries, and I love this country, love America, but I
do too. I'm a very,
but then I did not. However, the only way two girls that grew up in a certain way can harmonize.
Yep.
Vibrato and all, but I will refrain from that for now. In other countries, it is standard practice for you to have postpartum care. Yeah. Postpartum physical therapy. And I had to pay out of pocket for all of it enough that with my firstborn, I went to 2 appointments and it was over $100 out of pocket each time. And she's like, okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And then in my brain, as I left, it's like, okay, bye. And I was like, no, you won't, because I'm starting a company and I can't just give you over $100 every week. And I just remember the feeling of like deflation that in this country, I'm scraping out of pocket to pay for that when it should be standard practice because
truly like the problem, one of the problems is like nobody cares about mom after delivery. Everyone cares about baby, which is like, you have all these well visits, which are for other reasons that we're not going to get into, but like nobody really cares about mom. What about like mom's pelvic floor? Yeah. Like what about her diastasis rectus abdominis or whatever? Yeah. Like I'm still working on mine. Mm-hmm.
I forgot to remind me to send you those videos.
Yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, that's something that like, but I think content like this is helping to like, okay, even if like we can't afford to go get actual therapy, maybe there's like an Instagram account like we can direct people to like, hey, this is a great, we'll just maybe start making highlights, like crazy highlights of like how, great therapists we like with diastasis recti. Because like you can do a lot of things at home. Yeah.
But the birthing center that I went to, I mean, we live in the state of Illinois, so the regulations are ridiculous. But the birthing center, they really want you to thrive after, but it's not like they can refer you to a physical therapist who then your insurance will magically cover because they understand that the state kind of regulates enough that their hands are tied, your hands are tied, you're paying out of pocket probably. You can get a referral sometimes, but again, you have to be at the low end of the health spectrum before your referral can actually be covered. It's a whole thing. Anyways, they recommended a program called Mutu Mamas. It's $99 for 1 year. And I didn't do it after my firstborn, but after my secondborn, like 2 times my uterus stretching and like my pelvic floor was trash.
Yeah.
But they recommended that, and it's online. You watch these courses, you do it from home. They make it very available for moms who are busy or have no time or are tired. And I thought 99 was reasonable, but I should have extended it another year, but it's basically, they walk you through rebuilding your pelvic floor. You don't even start working out, I think, for 6 weeks. You're just doing the bare minimum. And the pelvic floor workout, being someone who used to kickbox 3-4 times a week for years, doing the pelvic floor workout for just, and they're 10 to 12 minute videos. The first time I did it, it was so, like the very first video, you're basically just breathing and you're like lifting your legs a little bit. And I think they want you to do 10 squats. And it felt to someone who was athletic so deflating, which is an emotional myth. Like, my body's not strong anymore, I'm weak, but your body just made and pushed out a human.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I did it, I was on the ground doing them. And then after the timer went off, I just sat there and I just started bawling.
Aww.
But it was a hormone dump.
Yeah.
So, and I'm aware of that. But so I was aware it was hormones, but I couldn't help but just crying at like how weak everything felt, especially after the second. So please get your pelvic floor taken care of.
Some people don't know what a pelvic floor is.
Oh gosh, that's true.
Like, I remember before having Leo, I heard of it, but like, so you hear those moms who are like, oh, like I can't do the trampoline because I'll pee myself. It's because their pelvic floor hasn't been addressed since having babies.
So basically, and I'm probably going to butcher this explanation, so look it up yourself, but the pelvic floor is like a little hammock of muscles that basically is in your crotch holding up all of your organs. And the baby's pressure will cause that, I don't know if it's a muscle.
It's the relaxin then in the baby.
Just kind of go and all the water weight. And then you're pushing in labor. So you're really like
and
stretching
if you rip
those
or
things
tear
out.
and
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Once you have your baby, that doesn't automatically go in. Just like any other muscle, if you don't work it out, it's going to get weak and stay weak. So when you're jumping on a trampoline, your bladder's flopping around in there.
Yeah.
You got to tighten those back up to hold your organs back up. So
yeah.
if you recently had a baby or are having a baby or whatever, look up Mutu Mamas. It was super helpful.
Yeah. Why don't we put a link in the description?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
It was super, super helpful for me.
Was that all of our myths?
Well, I had another one that I thought of when you were talking.
All right.
A really, really, really big myth is you are too small to birth your baby.
Oh man, that infuriates me.
Me too. Especially because
your
your
hips
child
aren't made that way.
Listen, her kid had an above average head circumference.
13 is normal, 14 is large. I birthed a 15-inch head.
Yeah. That girl, she better love you forever. Anyways, and part of her labor being as long as it was, as we were talking about you while you were laboring, we were all eating Chick-fil-A happily in your dining room while you're in the bedroom laboring.
Yeah, it's all right.
We were talking and it's like, well, now once the baby came out and we know how big her head was, we were talking about your breaks. You were taking like 20-minute breaks in between contractions, where if you go from active labor in hospital to taking 20-minute breaks, they're going to say, your labor stalled, C-section, let's go.
Yeah.
Or
we need to help you along.
Yeah, let's crank you full of Pitocin when your body just needs to rest.
Yeah.
Literally,
I was taking naps.
Yeah, it was great. She was napping for 20 minutes at a time. Well, maybe not great for you, but
I mean, it was great naps.
Rest.
Like
Yeah. Her body needed to adapt because her body knew that her baby's head was larger.
Yeah.
The body knows exactly what to do.
Yeah.
The body knew how big the head was. The body knew where it needed to stretch, and the body knew she needed breaks to be able to get the baby out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
she was not small. So like her head was large, but her body she was 9 pounds, 10 ounces. And I think she was actually probably would have been a 10-ish pound, like baby if she wouldn't poop so much. Like, cause she came out and then she pooped in the tub and then she pooped when I was like birthing the placenta and then she pooped in the bed.
Yeah.
Before
Full of poops.
We weighed her. So I'm like, you must have weighed more too, but it's okay.
But that is a big myth. That's a pet peeve of mine. Cause they make these women think, well, you can't do it. Let's just.
I have another myth.
Yeah.
That you have to wear a fetal monitor to.
Is that a thing they make you do?
Yeah. They say it's their policy, but here's the myth. Here's the myth. It's our policy and you have no choice. That's the myth. Because I have heard it time and time again. I've heard it on podcasts. I've seen it in action because I film births frequently. and it's our policy and you have to do it. And it's like, oh, your policy is none of my business. Like, this is my birth. I'm hiring you to do a service. So this is my policy. I don't wear that unless I want to.
Yeah.
And there's no reason. So here's the thing. When you contract, guess what's going to happen? Your baby's heart rate is going to drop just a little.
You're squeezing a large baby.
You're squeezing a baby.
To fit in a very small hole.
Very small hole. And it's a myth that they need to hear it all the time. Really, truly, it's just for the nurse's convenience, so they don't have to come in and use the Doppler every time.
Yeah. Also, how often do they really need to use the Doppler? I don't remember it being used very often on mine.
Every hour. Maybe half hour.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I remember a lot. That was me.
Listen, the guys, our husbands filmed a podcast today on the history of how Chipotle became a business. And then I made fun of my husband for burping his way through his podcast. And then here I am 2 hours later burping my way through my podcast. So just ignore the sounds coming out of my throat.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
But like, I don't remember because I actually worked in labor and delivery for a short stint. And actually that was like the straw that broke the camel's back of like, I can't be in the medical field anymore this way. But like, I remember Brandy, I'm pretty sure it was every half hour or something.
I remember her doing it, but I don't remember how often.
Well, I have the chart, but I would much rather a Doppler.
Yeah.
Occasionally, or like every half hour.
You're so uncomfortable. Why would you want to wear something around your belly to like itch and
and like
I would have been completely naked from labor because like the thought of having anything on me just felt so uncomfortable, but I knew I was going to want pictures to be able to like post and stuff. So I can't imagine having a scratchy, stiff band around me.
Yeah. There's just lots of things like question everything really in life, but
do your own research.
There's a lot of great podcasts out there with information. If you have any questions, we'll answer to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
We're not medical providers.
No, we're not medical providers.
But here's
We've
the
just
thing.
Pushed out 2 humans, 3 humans.
Even your medical providers don't know everything.
Yeah.
A doctor literally told me a baby can't be born in a sack. Like, red flag. Clearly they don't know everything.
Born in a sack. So.
And I really hate those disclaimers. Like, talk to your doctor if you have any questions. It's like, not every doctor knows everything about everything. So like you
can't. The human body is so complex.
Yeah. We cannot pretend that this one person who, just because they have a whole bunch of schooling, like we know a bunch of stupid, smart people. Like just because you know book stuff doesn't mean you're actually a smart person.
Yeah. So it's okay to research. It's okay to ask questions.
Yeah. And if anybody makes you feel dumb for researching and asking questions, just like cut them out of your life and just move on.
Yeah.
Like,
you should never be made to feel dumb.
Yeah.
In school, they tell you there's no stupid questions.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you ask your doctor a question and they make you feel stupid.
Yeah.
Then
Like,
that's a red flag.
why are you even researching that? Who told you that?
We can hear our children.
Okay. We got to go.
Yes.
All right. Thanks so much for being here.
If you have any birth questions.
Yeah.
Yes. Leave them in the comments.
Or we'll also, we'll maybe start sharing more birth related stuff on Instagram. Just resources.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Adios. I almost did the peace sign. Turn off the cameras. No.
Thanks for being with us today. Follow us on Instagram at _underscore_podcast. We'd love to meet you.
Please help us out by subscribing on YouTube and leaving a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time. Please remember this information is made available to you for informational and educational purposes only. It is in no way a substitute for medical advice.